Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on the Real Estate Podcast. I'm Todd Sumney, the Chief Industry Officer for HomeSmart, and I am so excited today to have a title and escrow expert and a real estate industry expert with us, our very own Will Haugerud with Equitable Title and Escrow, which is part of the HomeSmart family of companies, which is HomeSmart, Minute Mortgage, and Equitable Title and Escrow. And Will, a veteran of the industry, has been around for many, many years and a valuable member here of our HomeSmart team. But thank you for joining us today, Will.
Absolutely, Todd. I'm super excited to be here. It's great to see everybody out there and looking forward to talk about what's going on in our world.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, title and escrow is such an important part of every single transaction. And candidly, we don't spend very much time sometimes talking about it. And I'm talking about what's important, what consumers need to know,
right.
What makes one title company or escrow company different than another. What a consumer should base a decision on, what a realtor should be looking for when they partner with someone. So,
right.
And I also know you have some tremendous experience, insight to add to agents about what's going on in our industry today. As we record today here in the middle of May 2023, some boots on the ground information maybe.
Absolutely.
About what's going on.
There's a lot of things going on, and people want to talk about it's an up market, down market. It's a market.
Right.
It's just a market.
So then I think what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of a I'll throw you a curveball too, because I
Please
know
do.
At our Growth Summit convention, you did a presentation on taking your business and your life to the next level.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you had 3 key points to talk about, so maybe if I can get you to talk about that.
I'd be happy to share
real quick
that.
at the end of the podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right,
Great.
perfect. Well, thank you all. We're going to dig in. Will, tell us real quick about what is title? What is escrow? What do you do?
That's a funny question. And what's interesting about that is you had mentioned it's not talked about a lot. I mean, it's really not. People
Right.
are like, what is title and escrow? And there's a lot of different reasons. One is, consumers don't go through the process very often, right? I mean, 5 to 7 years now is the average transaction or time between transactions.
Right.
So we don't talk about that a whole lot because we're not familiar with and we only use it every so often. And then on the real estate side, when we're talking to real estate agents, they go through it a lot more just because they're working with clients and all of that. But what's interesting about title and escrow is we're really the quarterback of the transaction. When you think about someone wanting to sell their house,
Right.
they have to legally be able to sell their house. Right. Regardless, maybe they don't even have a loan on it, right? Maybe they've owned it outright. They still have to legally be able to sell that home.
Right.
And so what title and escrow do is we will look at really the history of the home itself. And it's in the world today, it's really interesting what it looks like because we've been around for so long. And some records are digital, some are not. I mean, we just had a situation where we were doing a huge, I don't remember, 19 or 20 plots of land in Colorado that we were doing up in the mountains where we had to go to the local courthouse and literally go into the basement and pull all the paper records because it wasn't electronic.
Right.
But that's what we have to do, again, because we have to show ownership of the home or the piece of property that we're actually looking at.
Right.
And then there's title and escrow, and as title really looks at that. Escrow, we're an independent third party that manages all the money.
Right.
And that's important, right? And we'll talk a little bit about fraud, hopefully. But it's really an important thing where you need someone that is independent, that is managing the whole transaction from a financial standpoint.
Right. Well, yeah, because it would be a bad thing to actually have a transaction go through or sell a property that really maybe is owned by someone else or is not legal to sell, right? And
exactly.
Situations like that, how often do those arise every now and then, or?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Or there's an encumbrance or a lien or something. I don't know what it is, but what are those hiccups that could show up every now and then?
Well, one of probably the most common is a lien, right? Someone maybe had done some work on some property and they didn't pay a contractor, or maybe they did, it wasn't recorded. There's a lot, again, there's different variables for everything, but basically it can be things like that. There can be property line disputes. We come across a lot of things where someone built a shed or, an outbuilding, so to speak, and they got permission from the neighbor to go onto their land,
Right.
but it wasn't in writing. There wasn't anything written about it, and then all of a sudden they go to sell and they find out, oh my gosh, it's on my neighbor's land and their property.
Right.
And so there's all kinds of things like that that can happen.
Right.
You don't see it as much in urban areas, but especially when you get out a lot more rural and that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
so there's all kinds of things like that can
But
happen.
my big takeaway with all of that is then the real estate professional. Why is title and escrow important to the real estate professional? Is that that they work with someone who has years of experience, who has the talent, who knows the things that you're talking about, and that the realtor can trust
Right.
and trust with their clients, right? And so that's, I guess, my big takeaway for all of you is really making sure that you're working with someone that you can trust, that's knowledgeable, experienced, and from what I know, I've used Equitable Title myself personally. Seamless, smooth experience, fast,
Right.
so transparent, and I loved the whole way while I was doing the process all along the way. I always knew exactly where we were in the process and what the next step was, and
Right.
how many more days until the next benchmark, etc. And so for me, it took all the stress off me as the consumer, but for my HomeSmart agent too, it was great for them just because they knew they were in good hands with you.
Right. And you bring up a good point about trusting your escrow officer, and that's really the back end of what we do. They're the ones that are the quarterback of the transaction because they're talking to buyers, they're talking to sellers, they're talking to both agents on the transaction, as well as if there's a lender involved, they're talking to them and really pulling it all together and
Right.
walking each side through that part of that transaction.
Yep.
And so the communication is absolutely critical. And having those years of experience, and we have here in Arizona, we actually have one of our escrow officers who just celebrated 50 years in the industry. And I'm like, holy cow, but that gives you an idea of the experience level that we have here at Equitable.
Right, right. Well, and let's talk about that for a minute, just about Equitable, and the what we often refer to as the better approach, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
also even the HomeSmart family of companies. But real quick, everything we're talking about today applies to any agent nationwide or any consumer, but specifically Equitable is operating in certain areas
Right.
as well. Would
Right.
you like to explain that real quick as well?
Yeah, so currently, we talk about Equitable and title, but we also have to remember that it's title and escrow. And so we are currently licensed in 4 states, 4 areas. So the Northeast, with Maryland, DC, but we're also here in Arizona. We're in Colorado, and then in California, in Southern California, we're only on the escrow side. Again, just because of local differences and that kind of thing.
Right.
But you brought up a good point about this being really nationwide, and it is. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in Minnesota or in California, you're going to have to go through this process with your client. Your agents are going to have to go through this process.
Right.
And so it's important. And we do have a better approach. We think it's better. And one of the things that really makes us unique is what we call our dynamic team processing.
Right.
And what's great about that is that we actually have a team that will work on, as an agent, on your client's file. And one of the things that happened in the industry for a long time was you'd have these really experienced escrow officers that were really good at their business. But what happened, because they were so good at their business and so experienced, everybody wanted to work with them, right?
Right.
And which I understand, absolutely. As a consumer, I'd want that same thing. But what we found was those people really got overworked, and they could only handle so much.
Right.
So we go to a team process, and we use a platform on the back end that is completely secure, where anybody on our entire team can see exactly where that file is at any one moment.
And I experienced that when I went through it personally, because no matter how I inquired, whether it was via an email, I got an instant response. Sometimes even in the app, I got an instant, or I saw some check marks or saw things moving along. And, when I would phone in or when I would receive an email from somebody giving me an update, a proactive update even, and I just, I got to work with several people along the way, but everyone knew exactly where my transaction was, and
Right.
it also was very fast and seamless.
Right.
And then the closing was amazing because you all came and met me. And it was really easy. Where do you want to close?
Right.
Okay, well, come meet me at my work or come meet me at my home, wherever I wanted. You guys had a mobile
notary.
closing.
Yeah.
And it was great. So
Well,
in my case, I did have close right here in the office in
that's awesome.
my work. So yeah.
And that's such a big deal when you look at our world today, right? Because we're all really, really busy, and we have important careers, and we're doing things, or we have kids we're taking care of.
Yep.
And so we offer that service where it's complimentary, and mobile closings will actually go to you and your clients.
Right.
So
That's awesome. HomeSmart agents, protect your clients with industry-leading coverage from Cinch Home Services. For more than 40 years, Cinch Home Services has been working for millions of homeowners and tens of thousands of real estate professionals to make the process of buying, owning, and selling real estate safer, more enjoyable, and more efficient. Homes have many moving parts and pieces from which time to time may break, stop working, or just go bad. The Cinch Home Services comprehensive and trusted home warranty is designed to provide protection against the high expense to repair or replace major systems and appliances that break down due to normal wear and tear. No one can predict when mechanical systems or appliances will fail, but homeowners can be better prepared when they do. Sellers can make their property more attractive to buyers with a warranty from Cinch, enabling the house to sell faster and for a higher price. The warranty gives buyers peace of mind and helps protect their budget. Cinch Home Services provides many benefits for sellers. First, they make the listing home a preferred home. 8 out of 10 buyers prefer to buy a home covered by a home protection plan, according to Gallup. Secondly, they attract more first-time home buyers. They provide peace of mind for buyers who might be intimidated by the high cost of repairing or replacing systems or appliances. It also enables home sellers to leverage the Cinch Home Services Home Protection Plan by making their home stand out from other listings. It helps sellers avoid closing delays. A Cinch Home Services Home Protection Plan can minimize the chance that an equipment or system failure could delay closing. And home sellers can get coverage during their listing. They can also alleviate post-sale worries. If a breakdown happens after closing, the buyer will turn to the Cinch Home Services Home Protection Plan. And lastly, it'll help home sellers relax with their industry-leading workmanship guarantee. Covered repairs are guaranteed for 180 days. Let's talk about the ways that Cinch Home Services can benefit buyers. They can provide security for your buyer's budget. Rather than paying hundreds or thousands of dollars to repair or replace an appliance or home system, buyers save money by paying a standard deductible per service call, per trade on covered components. Additionally, they provide comprehensive protection. They repair or replace covered systems and appliances no matter the age, make, or model. Plus, there are not any home square footage restrictions and no inspection required. Another way they benefit home buyers is through their national network of pre-screened service partners. Each partner in the Cinch Home Services network of thousands of qualified service professionals has been pre-screened to meet their high service standards. Additionally, Cinch Home Services has a convenient and easy claims process. Cinch Home Services is available 24/7. All homeowners need to do to place a claim is call their toll-free number or submit a claim online. Homeowners can call Cinch Home Services for as many appliance and system repairs as needed. Another benefit is the appliance byline service through Cinch Home Services. Even if items in the home are running great, homeowners may decide to remodel or upgrade. They can take advantage of Cinch Home Services' national buying power and get discounts off of brand name appliances. Additionally, the industry-leading workmanship guarantee means that covered repairs are guaranteed for 180 days. Lastly, there's an easy warranty renewal for home buyers. Homeowners can enjoy the protection of a Cinch Home Services Home Protection Plan for as long as they own their home. So enroll today in Cinch Home Services Agent Resource Program and gain access to their Agent Resource Center just for real estate agents. Call 1-800-247-3630 to be connected to the Agent Resource and Property Enrollment Hotline. You can also enroll your clients' properties by calling 1-800-247-3630. Additionally, there's information in the RealSmart Agent dashboard inside the Agent Marketplace section. There are also classes on your RealSmart Agent education calendar. And thirdly, agents can find information on Cinch Home Services inside of HomeSmart's Workplace Knowledge Library. If you would like to visit Cinch Home Services website, please go to www.cinchhomeservices.com. Once again, call 1-800-247-3630 to be connected to the Agent Resource and Property Enrollment Hotline. So protect your clients with industry-leading coverage from Cinch Home Services. Well, let's dig into that fraud topic.
Oh boy, here we go.
Because and here's the thing. With fraud, I would start with saying that the consumers need to be very, very careful with their funds at all times and with what they choose to do, actions they take or don't take.
Right.
And the real estate agent also needs to understand, again, and trust their team, but also they need to know what to watch out for.
Absolutely.
So can you talk about fraud for a moment? And
Yeah.
What agents really need to know? Let's start with agents first.
Yeah, it's a really important topic, especially in today's environment. It used to be the days, and we remember when we would get those funny emails where, you were all of a sudden, you had $300 million coming from some prince in some other country because of that. And those were easy to spot. But today, the fraudsters are much more intelligent, and they really do a lot of different things. They can spoof email addresses. And so as an agent, what we always say is you will never get wire instructions or anything regarding money from us via email, ever. You just will not. If something like that comes along, you have to literally pick up the phone and call the number that was given to you by your local title representative.
Right.
Because they will literally, they break into email and they change it, and then all of a sudden they will watch conversations literally for days. And then they jump in and there might be one letter that's different, a character, something like that. So the phone is the absolute best thing that you can do as an agent. And then share that with your clients. Make sure they completely understand that we will never reach out to them with wire instructions via email or anything like that. Always call and confirm.
Well, and why this is so important is typically when you're doing a real estate transaction, the dollar amounts they're large.
Yeah.
They're typically large, and so that's why it's so crucial and so important, and it just deserves repeating. I want you to say it again because we do hear stories all the time about someone responding to this email,
Yep.
someone responding to a text. Somebody responding even to a voicemail message once,
Right.
where it's get a live person and speak to someone in person, right? Correct?
Right. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Maybe just reiterate that one more time.
So,
We're gonna repeat it. This is so important for your consumers and for you, the agents.
Yeah, as an agent, I think there are things that you can do to protect yourself with different disclosures and that kind of thing that your agent sign or your clients sign. But I think that we all have a responsibility to the consumer, right? To ensure that we're taking care of their money. It's part of our fiduciary responsibility. And so the absolute thing is you always call to confirm. Always call to confirm. And get the information directly from the title company. Do not respond in email. And I'm going to give you one quick trick. This is a great trick that you should always do when it comes to this kind of communication, is never reply to an email. You know how in an email we can reply or we can forward. Never reply to an email. And you're like, well, how do I respond? You forward that email and you type in the correct email address that you have for who sent you that information. Not what's in the email, but from what you know in your records. So it's a great way to really help alleviate some of that.
Right. Good tip.
Thank you.
Very good tip. I'm pausing intentionally. I'm letting it sink in. for a moment, just because
It's a big deal.
we are so close to it. We've just heard those stories, and every one of them's unique, and they're sad to hear when those things do happen. And that's why I love your tip that you just gave a moment ago, but also I love the live confirm everything with a real live person.
Correct.
Because even some of the automated, bots, conversations, or things like that, that's what I'm saying, even with voicemails or things, I just feel like you need to confirm with a live person, and that's part of our
Right.
commitment.
You're not going to hurt our feelings by calling us and asking us if it's real or not.
Yeah,
Literally,
exactly.
pick up the phone and call.
Exactly. Well, and that actually brings up another point.
Yeah.
I would like to encourage all of our realtors out there, every time. So listen, if a consumer, I say this in every podcast, if a consumer has stumbled upon this episode, everything that we are talking about, this real estate podcast, is to help real estate agents serve their customers better. We approach everything that we're talking about, any strategies, tactics, it's all about a service-oriented mindset, not a sales mindset. That's not what this is about. We are here to serve. And these are lifelong clients that we're building and we are protecting.
Absolutely.
And protecting them. And so just your last comment here about picking up the phone and calling, I'm going to encourage all of you to do that more often and more frequently, and also answer your phone. One of the agents that I love, he talks all the time about how he's picked up over the years, top agents answer their phone, and they answer their phone, even if it's just to say, hey, I'm with a client, but I will call you back in X amount of time or whatever. And they're always accessible. But my point is communicate with your title and escrow team frequently and more often is just what I would recommend, because even with your buyers, every situation is different. The sellers, every situation is different, and you want to talk about it. You want to help make sure that each single transaction goes better. And I've heard you say you love the phone calls and you love to hear from agents.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And talk to them.
It's almost become a lost art.
Yeah.
With text and instant messaging and everything else.
Right.
And you know what? Pick up the phone.
Right.
We're happy to answer any of the questions that you possibly have, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's dig in real quick though to the family of companies concept.
Yeah.
So I've been in the office before when an agent has called in on a Friday, and it's 11 o'clock, and their client has a moving truck already, and and somewhere along the way, somebody is holding up the process, and nope, we're not going to close now until Monday, right, or something, and yet they have to be out of their property and they need to move in or whatever it might
right,
be. And there are certain, things that just can really get out of sync if those schedules, aren't met.
Absolutely.
And I've also seen the situations here where the teams have solved problems, for agents. One of my favorite stories is an agent that had a, personal, situation, and she really did need a closing to happen, when it was supposed to happen. And the team, really rallied together, dropped everything that they were doing. And even though it wasn't their,
right,
transaction, right, they jumped in and helped and make sure that everything got done. And we can do that more when we follow a transaction from start to finish. Correct. Meaning HomeSmart does have a family of companies. We have the real estate HomeSmart division. We have the mortgage division with Minute Mortgage, but we also have Equitable Title. And all three of those companies, they are under common ownership, and there is a common goal of making it a seamless transaction from start to finish, right, for the consumer and for the agent. So can you talk a little bit about that and how that benefits, and maybe how we do that differently than other people,
Yeah, it's actually a great question, because people forget about that, being part of the family of companies. And the benefit too, really, a HomeSmart agent is great, and not because we do anything different necessarily, but when we look at our business model, our primary customer that we work with at Equitable and at Minute our HomeSmart agents. That's our primary customer. It doesn't mean we only work with HomeSmart agents. We work with all agents.
Right.
But our primary focus is really on helping the other agents that are part of the family of companies.
Right.
And so we also have some internal technology that we share and things like that that really enable that communication, that transparency within the transaction to help those HomeSmart agents. And so when you get that call, we understand you're part of the family.
Right.
And we call the family, right?
Right.
And so you're
The
part of
business
that.
family.
The business family.
The business family, right? The family.
The family. And so it's not that we give a different level of service, but we definitely are more focused on that part of the business. There's no doubt in the companies within the family of companies.
Right. But I guess back to that example, I was talking about the agent that really needed something to close on that day. There were some of the three components, not all three were part of the HomeSmart family of companies. Right. And where the holdup was outside of the HomeSmart, family. But the other two teams literally jumped in, went over and above, went way out of their way to really make sure that the transaction closed, and help help remove the roadblock from the company that wasn't even part of the HomeSmart family.
Right.
And they did that.
Yeah.
And so the agent was so grateful. I saw her emails and everything, and then it just, to me, what it says, well, if it was the whole way through, with the family of companies, you would have never had that roadblock to even remove.
Right. And that does happen. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's plenty of stories where we've had to jump in and even go up the chain in some other organizations, not only internally with us, but also within their organization.
Right.
And make, phone calls that are above my pay grade, but have people that make those phone calls because it's so important for us that we want to get that transaction across the finish line for you and your clients.
Right. Well, this is all good stuff. What else? Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think the realtor needs to know or the consumer needs to know before we get into kind of boots on the ground in the market today? Quick little update, and then into your also three tactics for taking your life and business to the next level. What else, when we're specifically talking title, escrow, the process, the transaction, the team, Equitable as a whole, is there anything that the realtors or that the consumers need to know that we haven't touched on?
I would say that one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is a personal level of service. And when I say that, it's not just a personal level of service to the agent and or the agent's clients, buyers and sellers, but it's really to everybody. We look at our business as really taking a real estate transaction, which for, again, most of us is the biggest transaction that we ever do in our entire lives from a financial standpoint. And now because of price points, you're looking at, $500 million transaction. It's a pretty big deal. But we look at what we call the greater good, right? And that greater good is we're helping buyers and sellers really come together and achieve a pretty significant milestone in their lives. Right. And that's what we want to take into these transactions. Right. So I don't want to say it's personal, but it is.
Right. Love it. Is there, is there anything else that we haven't covered, other than that?
We have, we were talking about, Minute Mortgage and the family of companies with Equitable and that kind of a thing. We do have, in the markets that we have both of the companies, we do have available discounts as well that are actually offered through Minute Mortgage as bundling the family of companies together.
Okay.
So we do have those available, absolutely, and you'll have to get with the local rep, but that is something that I think is important, especially in today's environment when you're dealing with buyers and sellers and in a different market than we've had for the last 5 years. I think that those things are important.
Well, and I think there's some streamlining that happens when it's inside the family of companies, meaning that you said there's companies, we share technology, we move things, internal. They're almost like internal, so they move a little faster, a little more efficient, and there's some savings there that at times we can pass on, to the consumer. And so I think you need to check with your team in the local area because obviously they can this does change, or maybe they're timely, or
Right.
different. Maybe they're time limited even.
Right.
But just get with your team and talk with your team, about how they can help.
Right. Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, good. Well, let's for any of you that do want to engage with Equitable Title, what's the best way for an agent? What should they call? Where should they email? Should they go to a website? What should they do?
Yeah, so I see you have the website up right now, but
Right.
equitableescrow.com, equitableescrow.com. If you go there, you're actually going to see the different markets that we're in, and then when you click on the different states and areas that we're in, it will take you to the local website for those different areas. And there's actually a contact form. There's our phone numbers are listed there. That's really the best way, and start there. You can send an email on the contact us page, or you can pick up the phone, like I said. Give us a call. We would love to talk to you. Absolutely.
Attention agents. If you want to automate your marketing, grow your business, and increase engagement with your sphere of influence and your database, start using Exact Contact today. Exact Contact is the real estate industry's all-in-one real estate CRM that makes it easy to manage your contact information, keep in touch communications, active business, and online presence. Exact Contact is a next-generation real estate CRM that gives you all the tools you need to help you become the real estate professional that past clients remember and refer, and the one that prospects choose to work with, all in a single, easy-to-use solution. And with their mobile app, you can manage your business from anywhere on any device. Best of all, with Exact Contact's unique marketing automation and their set it and forget it capabilities, Exact Contact acts like your personal assistant. You'll save time, be better organized, keep in touch with past clients, nurture and convert leads into listings, and generate more referrals and repeat business than you ever thought possible. Plus, exclusive to HomeSmart agents, Exact Contact includes custom knock, home swap, buy before you sell email templates, and activity plans. Try Exact Contact and experience a new level of success, confidence, and career satisfaction. And there is a timely special offer for HomeSmart agents. Go to exactcontact.com and you can get started with 5 weeks free, and then just $34 a month after that. That's a 25% discount just for HomeSmart agents. Additionally, you can attend the bi-weekly training classes and webinars that are on your education calendar in your Real Smart Agent dashboard, or visit the Marketplace section in Workplace and visit the Knowledge Library inside of our HomeSmart Workplace. Don't delay. Visit exactcontact.com today. That's Exact Contact, IXACTCONTACT.com today. I do know, let's get into the boots on the ground stuff. I mean, we're sitting here in May, middle of May, and you're deep in real estate transactions going on all the time. But you also, as a title and escrow company, we pay for data. We pay for information and some different reports.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of those reports that you have access to, the data that it gives you, how you can help maybe inform agents or share impart that information to agents, you know?
That's a great question, Todd. And one of the things that we have is if we partner with a national data company called Altos. And in that reporting, because one of the things, again, when we look at real estate, it's different today than it was a year ago.
Right.
And the last year it was different than the year before, and it just changes like that. Now we're not seeing some of the same things that we've seen as far as fluctuations that we've seen in the past, but we have this Altos report, and an Altos report, and you have to check with your local area to make sure that it's available there through Equitable, but it literally will give you as an agent updated stats as far down as a zip code in your local area. And there's 10 different areas that we actually look at, whether it's median price, average days on market, percentage of homes that have actually had a price increase or a price decrease. And that is actually updated every single week. So they pull the data over the weekend, and every Monday it is completely updated. And it's a way that I think is important in today's world, that as an agent you can have those important conversations with your clients. You can also use it as a great marketing tool to help build your business, really be seen as that local expert.
Right.
By utilizing those on your social media channels, in your marketing, your newsletters, whatever it might be. So it's a great report.
And then speaking of marketing and marketing support, what type of marketing support do you have marketing support that you help agents with, that you at times can help either provide them with information or help them?
Yep.
I know that you can educate them on all of the HomeSmart tools.
Right.
If anyone out there has any questions about the HomeSmart tools, our smart tools, our smart sites, HomeSmart Client, which I want to touch on in a minute, any of the other, tools, your team will dig in and help the agent really wrap their arms around it, right?
Absolutely. And again, that's going to vary by market. Each individual market's a little different on what we have available, and you'll want to check with them. But there are definitely ways that we can help you with marketing and looking at that. One thing that I will say, and again, this is geared towards HomeSmart agents that I think is incredibly powerful, is that our own internal marketing design center in the RSA is an unbelievable resource. But there are some other resources out there too that we have access to, that we can get you access to from a marketing standpoint, whether it's print marketing, whether it's digital marketing, social media marketing, whatever it might be.
Right.
We have another tool that is a farming app. I mean, there's so many different things that we support the agents in really helping them grow their business.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's dig into a little bit of the data. What are you feeling going on right now? Let's even go back January, February, March, April, and now we're in May. What are you feeling? What are you seeing? What are some of the data that you're researching, showing you?
Yeah.
What is some of the data showing you?
It's actually funny because I love data. Like, I'm just that kind of guy, right? I love number, weird that way. But so I follow that, and there was a great actually post the other day that I saw that was talking about month-over-month pricing, right? When you look at nationwide and what's going on with pricing. And you hear, if you listen to mainstream media, you think that we're going to hit this recession and we're going to have a crash. Number one, I don't believe that. If you look at all of the data out there, we don't have enough homes, and we aren't going to have enough homes, even though, my buddy Elliot said just yesterday that a third of the homes that are being sold right now are actually new construction. They can't keep up. I mean, there's just, what did NAR say, 6 million? A shortage of
6.5 million.
6.5 million homes in the United States.
Right. That we're short.
That we're short. We don't even have them built.
Right. There's more people that want to buy than there are homes to sell.
Right. So it just is so interesting to me when people think, oh my gosh, we're going to have this big crash. We can't.
Right.
There's such pent up demand. You think about the fact that baby boomers are living longer, so they're not selling their houses as often.
Right.
You've got the millennial generation, which is a larger generation than the baby boomer generation. A number of people, they're in prime house farming and home buying years right now, and they can't find anything because there's not enough inventory.
Right.
So I just don't see that changing. Does that mean we're going to see 15, 20, 25% appreciation every year? Right. No, I don't believe that.
Well, and then we have another phenomenon which you've dug into in previous episodes, and we'll dig into in some of the ones in the future as well, talking about that, many homes right now have a very low mortgage interest rate.
Absolutely.
And so therefore the homeowner right now is like, well, I've got this really low rate, so maybe they're not selling. They're not putting their home on the market. Now, we do still have life events, and we still, according to the most recent numbers, we're probably going to have about 5 million people. The most recent number I saw was just under 5 million transactions, which means 5 million sellers, 5 million buyers, right? 10 million people buying and moving, right, in a year. So there's still a lot, but right now transactions, it's interesting, you said 34%. And so tell everyone about Elliot in a minute, but Elliot said, was it Elliot that said the 34%?
Yeah.
Okay, so 34% of transactions right now are new home builds, because that's what's, even though the home building industry can't keep up, there isn't enough existing inventory, so homeowners are turning to new home builds to try to find inventory that no one lives in, that they can buy. But tell everyone a little bit about Elliot and who you follow and how you follow him.
Well, Elliot Eisenberg is he's an economist, and he's actually done a lot of work around in the real estate industry. That's really what he's focused on. I've seen him speak a few different times at different industry events throughout the years, and
he gets a great crowd every time he speaks.
He's amazing.
Live, but
yeah. And he just happens to do and he's been doing it forever. Monday through Friday, he sends out a daily email. It started based on Twitter's number of characters or words or something with 72
words,
right?
Or
something like that.
Or,
but it's really insightful. So, and part of the reason I love him, he's the bow tie economist. That's what he calls himself, and I'm the bow tie title guy. Just so you know, I'm the bow tie title guy, and so
I like that.
So we have that in common. But he's just really knowledgeable. And I love to follow that. There's a lot of other sites out there. Keeping Current Matters, of course, is another one. Real Trends is a great organization. There's a lot of them out there.
But for those of you who want to follow, Google him, Elliot Eisenberg. And see how you can follow him or engage with him. Another one you just mentioned, I popped up onto the screen here, that for those that are visually watching instead of just listening audio-wise, is Keeping Current Matters, keepingcurrentmatters.com. And they have a wealth of information for real estate agents, some great solutions for real estate agents. And you pointed me to something that you saw just a few days ago.
Right.
And I put the chart up here on the screen right here. Sorry. It is about, there are 3 indexes that are often quoted in the news having to do with home prices. It's the Case-Shiller Index, the FHFA, and CoreLogic.
Yes.
So can you tell me what you saw here and, how this tracks with what the agents you're working with in your areas?
Well, and again, it's interesting, and when you look at the data, as I like to do, this will show you that really, home appreciation was still going on even last year. Month over month, homes were still going up in value. Right. And then we hit that time when, as we all know, rates changed, mortgage rates changed, and they went up significantly and very, very quickly. And at that point in time, as we kind of expected, because of that, that's going to change the dynamic of the market, right? But so home prices started falling a little bit, and we had a couple months when you look at the different metrics that are up there that were actually the prices dropped.
Right.
Here in Arizona, I think we talk about and we joke about there was like a 10-day period that was a buyer's market.
8 days.
8 days. Like literally 8 days,
literally,
right?
According to the data, right?
But when you look at this here, it actually shows you that this year prices are starting to gain momentum again and going up. And later on...
By the way, that was the Cromford report here in Arizona for any of you Arizona agents. As far as I know, it's only available here in Arizona.
I believe so,
The
yes.
Cromford report, very valuable tool. But back to Keeping Current Matters in this chart here,
So one of the things that it says in here is that last March, 92% of markets followed across the United States showed price appreciation. And then we started to see this fall. And it was 92% of markets that actually saw that same depreciation. But now in February of this year, 92% of markets again saw appreciation month over month.
Right.
So
up on the screen, I pulled up keepingcurrentmatters.com. I pulled up their website and this article on the website. You can see there exactly what Will just described. It starts with January of 22. And it goes January, February, March, April, May, and June. So January, February was green. It was going up. March going up. Still green in April. Still green in May. Even green in June. And then July is when it kind of started to hit that red. And it went down in August and September. So red months, July through January, actually. Mm-hmm. But you can see that the dip hit in August. So the lowest point was in August. It was still red in September, but not as much. Still red in October, not as much. Kind of flattened out, but then all of a sudden it's in green in February of 2023 again, and here we are in May now. And this is the thing that was interesting about this was it was all 3 indexes just almost mirror each other on this data and these charts. Very powerful info. And then I think they're, the article, if you can go pull it up, there's some great information in the article, including some great quotes. You wanna read that quote right there? Real quick, what you were telling me.
Yeah, it just says,
earlier.
just 5 months ago, prices were declining. on a seasonally adjusted month-over-month basis in 92% of all major U.S. markets. But fast forward to March, and the situation literally done a 180, with prices now rising in 92% of markets from February.
Right. Right. So the thing that I highlight, which they highlight right here in blue, the monthly rebound in home prices underscores the lack of inventory
Absolutely.
in this housing cycle. And so it just has to do. So in every report that Keeping Current Matters does, they do talk about, okay, here's what this means to you sellers. Here's what this means to you buyers. And so for you real estate agents, I would sign up for Keeping Current Matters email. They even have some other resources that you can choose to partner and work with them on. Very valuable, very, very valuable information. So, I like to read their bottom line assessment at the very end, that says, hey, if you put off plans to move because you're worried about home prices falling, data shows the worst is already behind us and the prices are actually rising nationally. Partner with a local real estate professional so you have an expert to explain what's happening with home prices in your area. And you can visit the KCM blog on keepingcurrentmatters.com. And the headline of that article was "The Worst Home Price Declines Are Behind Us" was the article headline if you're searching for that on Google. All right, last item real quick. Let's sum up 5 minutes here real quick. You did a great session. The room was packed at our Growth Summit, our annual convention up in Las Vegas. And you highlighted talking about 3 tactics or 3 words that can really take your personal life and your business to the next level. Can you just give a quick little synopsis? I know you don't have time to do your whole presentation, but just maybe share a little bit about what you shared with the real estate agents at our live event in February.
Absolutely.
End of
February. It rolled into March, right?
It rolled into March. It's end of February.
Yeah, you know what? It was a great experience, and it was great to see so many agents show. And really, when I look at business, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be real estate business. When I look at business, I think that there's 3 things. And the 3 words that I used was purpose, productivity, and passion. Mm-hmm. And really, when it starts with purpose, I talk about managing ourselves. We're the hardest person to ever manage. Doesn't matter if you're in leadership and you manage 100 people. They're easier to manage than managing ourselves, right?
Right.
And so putting in different ways that we are able to do that, whether it's through scheduling and our calendars and our productivity tools and all of those, but really looking at who we are as human beings and start looking at how do we become better at who we are. And then the second is productivity. And productivity is really about how to do business, how to be a successful realtor. And I think that there are clues out there. You look at successful people. You were talking before about high producers, and they answer their phone.
Right.
And it's so true. It's actually very interesting. I was talking with an agent who's a top producer in Colorado a couple weeks ago, and she attended my session, and she came up to me afterwards, and she's like, oh my gosh, Will, because one of the things that I said was, even on those calls that someone's tried to sell you something, they're a human being just trying to do their job. Right? So doesn't it help you to actually call them back and say you're not interested? Because the thing about real estate that I think we can tend to forget is every person we come in contact with can be a potential client.
And, they can also be a potential referrer. So, for example, if the person who's trying to reach you happens to be that new pool company or the new title company that, you're using another title company, but there could come the day when the title company, your contact, goes on vacation that week and, you need someone else to step in, so you always want to I think that you always want to take those phone calls, because that is how you increase productivity, right? Absolutely.
I'll give you a funny story about that. So I've been around the real estate industry for over 15 years, right? Never been in real estate, but I've been supporting the real estate industry for that long.
Right.
You know how many people, how many agents have ever asked me if I know of anybody looking to buy or sell real estate? Less than 10.
That's shocking to me.
Less than 10 people have asked me, and I have met thousands of real estate professionals. But yet everyone is a possible client.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
That's shocking to me, but actually you highlight a great story for me. Brian Buffini, I've seen him do it before where he's got a room full of 3,000 agents. Love you, Brian Buffini and Buffini Company. Dermot, your
Absolutely.
team, great job. But he'll have a room full of 3,000 people and they'll break for lunch. And Brian will come back with someone in the hotel who's looking to buy or sell, who works at the hotel. And he'll stand on stage and he'll say, at lunch I was talking to so-and-so and they want to buy, they work in this department here in the hotel. They want to buy and sell real estate. Who wants the referral? I only charge a small fee. But his point is that referrals do come from relationships and from talking to people and from asking the question that you just said. So
Absolutely.
Real estate professionals ask that question. Do you know anyone who's thinking of buying and selling? But if you build that relationship, maybe you're not working with them, but that pool company, no matter who it might be, they could refer business to you someday.
Absolutely.
And someday you could have a need where that pool company fits the need for a particular type of situation with a pool that you need them.
Right.
So it's always good to answer your phone. I also have one other quick one. You just made me think of it. There's a great broker that I worked with for many years. His name was John Foltz here in Arizona, and he used to say all the time, John, I hope it's okay, I quote you. He said, we're talking productivity here, right?
Right.
He said, when something works, do more of that.
Right.
When something doesn't work, don't do that anymore.
Right.
If you're not getting results, don't do that. If you're getting
Absolutely.
results, do that. So you get results from answering your phone. You get results from certain things. And when you're talking productivity, those are the things to hone in on.
Absolutely.
Do the things that get results and
Right.
stop wasting time on the things that take time that don't.
Right. It's so true.
All right, what else? Let's talk.
The last thing that I talk about is passion, and for me, passion is really one of the most important because it's about me working on me and becoming better me. And there's lots of different things that I talk about with that, but I just myself try to grow personally every single day. And when I say personally, that means in my business life and my personal life, but really trying to get a better human being, and a better at understanding who I am. And then bringing that into my business.
So what are some ways that you actually do that? I don't mean to put you on the spot because I guess that's kind of personal, but personal growth. Do you have any secrets that you share? Do you set aside a certain time? Do you write things down? Do you have somebody that holds you accountable? I don't know. I'm asking.
I do a lot of different things like that. One of the things that I will say that has probably changed my life more than anything is that I get very intentional about how I live today. And that means I'm intentional about conversations I have with people. I'm intentional about how I take care of myself. I'm intentional about my relationships that I have in my personal life. But I'm very intentional about how I come to the world, right? And that even means one of the biggest lessons that I ever learned was I'm still not great at it. I'm not a great listener. Not a great listener. I want to talk. You probably can tell that from this podcast today. I like to talk.
Right.
But what I've learned is I need to be a better listener. And especially in real estate, that's so important, right? Because we're dealing with people's dreams.
Yeah.
And so I have to step back and say, hey, stop. And not just listen, but hear.
Right.
Hear what people are saying.
Right. You have me reflecting right now.
Uh-oh.
And I'm assessing my listening ability, and that's actually good advice. That's very good advice. So, hey, everyone, thank you for joining us here today on the Real Estate Podcast. Some great information about title, about escrow, what you need to know. Also, just some great information, what's going on here in May 2023, boots on the ground. Where to get some of that information, pass it on to your clients, be an informed source of information with truth, and share the facts, share the data with your clients, and then lastly, your 3 Ps.
Yep.
So appreciate everything that you went over with us here today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Will, for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
thank you, Todd.
For all of you, thank you for joining us here on this episode of the Real Estate Podcast. We hope to see you back on future episodes. And Will Haugerud, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I'm Todd Sumney, and we hope to see you back on future episodes. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Like what you're hearing on the real estate? Tell your friends about us. tell them to check out all of our episodes on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. And don't forget to send any topics you want us to tackle to therealestate@homesmart.com.